Guys, welcome to, this is season 3, the ShutUpMarc Podcast, man. You're kicking off. You're the first episode, Dana.
All right, I'm out the box. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Absolutely. I want to really quick, guys, thank our sponsors, Audi Kate at Injury Money on Instagram, the best injury attorney in the business. I think he took down $500,000 in settlements last month. Not bad. You know what I mean? So if you're somebody injured at work, out in public, wherever it might be, and you're looking for compensation, Audi Kate is who you need to go for. And I think that's actually our only standing. Royal Roast Beef. Can't forget Royal Roast Beef, Stoneham, Massachusetts. They've been a long-time favorite of mine for like roast beef, fast casual stuff. And they're a new sponsor on the show. Very excited to have them. And One Main Restaurant, which is where we are right now in downtown Peabody. I want to thank Pat Tedisco and his wife for opening their door to us. This is nice, huh? It really did kind of like liven up. This is great. This is awesome, dude.
Nice crowd, big crowd.
Nice, yeah.
It's nice.
It's pretty cool. Oh, it's great. Yeah, they clearly they're new to the business too, and they're clearly figuring it out pretty quickly. They got this great stage, the lounge. Remember, you even said something about the lounge in the back.
Yeah, it's dope.
He showed it to me when I first came in here, and I'm like, this doesn't even feel like Peabody. This is like not something you get up this way. It's just like not something you find, so it was really nice to see. But yeah, guys, for those who don't know, our guest today needs not much of an introduction. This is the definition of a local legend. This is Dana Barros, man. Dana Barros is here. 13-year NBA vet? 13-year NBA veteran. All-star in 1995.
Appreciate it.
Played in the NBA in the toughest era ever to play in the NBA. In my opinion, the talent level was at its highest. The parity in the league was at its highest.
Bully ball too. It was bully ball era.
What do you think? Like, you hear a lot of people, Dana, talk about, you know, the old school NBA, especially in comparison to today's game and stuff. As a guy who legitimately played his entire career in that era, what do you think? What would you tell people about what it was actually like to play night in and night out? Every team's trying to win. Every team's got studs. There's really not that many bad teams in the league. Mm-hmm. Everybody's competing. It's physical. It's old school. Social media is not involved. What would you tell people about the 90s NBA?
Different era. It was different because there wasn't many $100 million contracts. You got a 2-3 year deal. Larry Bird and those guys were making like $2-3 million a year. You know, they weren't making $20 million. These guys, those were the highest paid players in the league at that time. So every position on the floor, you had to keep your position every year. Yep. New draft picks come in, so it was a battle. I remember going to Seattle as a rookie, thinking I was going to walk in there, everybody was going to bring me in all nice. Nate McMillan, Avery Johnson, they was like throwing the elbow on me, and you know, it was a man's game, you know, and it wasn't as many European players back then.
Yep.
You know, now it's half the draft is European players, so it's even tougher now. But yeah, different game, man. I played at the Pistons era. You know,
yeah, I mean, you guys essentially it was you guys, the Jazz, the Bulls, obviously. The Lake Show was pretty good. The Celtics were kind of like on their way, transitioning, giving the way to the Pistons, the Knicks. So playing in Seattle, you come as 16th overall, right? How did you feel about Seattle basketball as a whole? Key Arena, right? That's where you guys were. What was it called? Something else before?
It was called the Seattle Coliseum.
It was the Seattle Coliseum back then. So not a traditional basketball market, you would think. But by all accounts, they had great fans, and the joint was rocking.
Definitely. One of the some of the best fans in the league. But funny story. So I'm in Chicago. The day of the draft. I'm working out for the Bulls. Michael Jordan is my favorite player. So they tell me, Dana, I'm gonna take you with the 20th or the 21st pick. I'm bugging. I'm like, I'm fly back home. There's no social media, so I couldn't call nobody, you know, and say, yo, no cell phones, none of that yet. So I get back home like about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The draft is that night. I was supposed to be a late first round pick. I wasn't even paying attention to the draft. So I'm sitting at my friend's house watching the draft, and David Stern gets up and he says, with the 16th pick, the Seattle Supersonics select Donna Barriosi. Like, who the hell is Donna Barriosi?
Oh,
right?
that's
I didn't
crazy.
Even know it was me.
They're like, we just took some Lithuanian guy. Who the hell is
Spanish
this?
Dude or, you know, French dude was gonna come out.
Meanwhile,
right?
it's a Cape Verdean guy from Mattapan.
Right.
Everybody's
so
like, oh, all right, fine.
He's like, that's you. So I'm like, oh my, I'm mad because I wanted to go play for Chicago, right? I'm thinking I'm going to play with Jordan, and I never visited. I never talked to Seattle. So I was totally surprised when they picked me.
I was going to say, how did that go with the pre-draft process for you? Because I didn't know if it was more a sense of like, so you heard nothing from Seattle.
Nope.
You had actually heard from the Bulls. Did you think you were going to go a little bit earlier? Did you go right where you thought you would, mid-first round?
I went early. I was supposed to be a late first-round pick.
Yep.
I went and played in all the senior tournaments and stuff like that. And people saw me as better than they actually thought I was, playing against the best players. So I moved up. I didn't know I moved up. But I visited Chicago, who picked 20th. I visited Miami, who was an expansion team. They picked like 23rd. So I figured I would be, if Chicago didn't take me, Miami was going to take me at 23. So I was totally surprised. And I'm like, damn, it's the furthest away from Boston as I can get.
You're across the country, quite
right?
literally across the entire country. Now, you get there, and you get the glove. You got Sean Kemp, right? Where are you? How are those guys in the locker room with you? I think Seattle is one of those teams that, at least that core of guys, I know Gary Payton mentions it a lot, and he thought they could have got more, like that group could have got more and was capable of more.
Right.
Obviously, they're up against elite talent every night, and at the end of the day, not everybody's going to get to eat when the talent and parity in the league is that good, right? But what did you feel about that nucleus of Seattle players when you first got there? You're like, okay, I've been watching these guys on TV. They got some guys that can play. What was it like for you assimilating into the Seattle?
Awesome. It was dope city, dope fans. Gary wasn't there till my second year. I actually was second team all rookie. Dale Ellis got hurt, who was the starter. I ended up starting 25 games.
Yeah.
I make second team all rookie, and then Gary comes in, and I play like 5 minutes a game for the next 3 years, really, basically.
Sure.
Sitting behind Gary, who's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Learning the game, watching the game, studying the game. So it was a difficult transition for me from going to second team all rookie to Gary Payton coming in. But I knew we had a great team. So in my third year there, we play against Barkley and the Suns in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And we're at Game 7, and we're in Phoenix. And I just remember sitting on the bench watching Game 7, and Charles Barkley had 46 points and 26 rebounds in Game 7.
Yeah, that's.
And it was just like, I was this close to playing the Bulls, in the championship that year when Phoenix played them. So great young team. They should have kept the team together. They traded Derek McKee. They traded myself,
they did
Eddie
kind of blow that up kind of quick, huh? Like,
Yeah.
what were you thinking? Like, because then you ended up you went to the Hornets for like what, 2 days, legit 2 days,
right.
And then you end up going to Philly. Were you like, man, like it kind of took them a while to build this team. They have something good. Why did they? It felt like they gave you guys like a 5-year shelf life. And sort of, well, give or take a year in either direction, but it does feel like that team, that nucleus of guys, could have got there.
Definitely. I actually be traded, though, actually. I knew I was never going to play there. They wanted to re-sign me as a backup. I didn't know what I could do. I knew I had a good rookie year, but it's been 3 years since I played. So I'm like, I need to go somewhere and find out what I can do.
Yeah.
So they traded me, and I ended up going to Philly, and that's when I made the All-Star team, which was a blessing at the time because I was really kind of in limbo in my career playing behind Gary for 3 years. But that was the favorite season I ever had, even though I didn't play a lot, winning 60 games.
The 95 season?
No, the 93 season.
93 season, sorry.
Going to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals and being on that 60-win team, even though I didn't play a lot. That was the most fun I had.
Now, how did you like, obviously you enjoyed your time in Philly, right? And if I'm not mistaken, you're the last guy before Allen Iverson to wear 3 for the Sixers, right? So what clicked for you in 95? Was it just that you got to play more? Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't your minutes almost double in Philly? You were averaging 18 in Seattle and then 31, I think, according to Wikipedia. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I was averaging, my first year I played like 30 minutes a game. The second year, I think I led second in the league in minutes. So I played like 41 minutes a game my second year. So the first year, I won most improved. I went from like 8 points to 15. And then my second year there, I went from like 15 to 21 or 22.
Right.
And I made the All-Star team. So it was just a great sigh of relief for me after working so hard, trying to figure out if I could make it in the league and then to finally have the chance and to be successful at that time. So. And then Philly was picking in the draft. So I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to re-sign with Philly, ML Carr. So I call ML Carr. I'm like, yo, ML, I'm about to sign with the Sixers. He's a GM at Boston. So I'm like, you want to sign me or not? I'm signing tomorrow. And then I kind of was a joke because I knew ML. Then he called me back like 3 hours later, and then I ended up signing with Boston out the blue. I didn't even think.
Oh, that just came together in like less than 24 hours, really.
I thought he was just messing with me. He's like, "Don't sign yet. I'm gonna call you back." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And I was going to go to Philly, so I said, "If Philly puts that contract in me before he calls me back, I'm signing the contract."
Because you're like, I made an all-star team with this team. Like, clearly, my career is clearly in a real good place. What was that '95 All-Star game like? Was that? I mean, that had to be like just awesome to be there. It's like that was when the All-Star game was like legit too. By the way, it wasn't like guys throwing alley-oops to each other and stuff. So you know what I mean?
Let me just tell you, when I first got there, right, they had the jersey uniform laid out on the bed the night before.
So sick.
So I put my jersey on the night before, walking around, and I'm on the floor with like all the All-Stars. So every single All-Star, Pippen, everyone, all the All-Stars.
What city was it in?
It was in Phoenix.
Oh, all right, cool.
So I'm walking up and down the hallway with my jersey on, just looking in the rooms. They playing cards. I'm just walking in and out of the rooms and bugging. Because it was like 2 years ago, I was playing 3 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Or 5-10 minutes a game behind Gary.
Meanwhile, you got guys like Pippen looking at you like, this is this kid's first All-Star game.
Yeah,
it's like.
It was like Alonzo. It was like Larry Johnson. It was just a bunch of
everybody. It was everybody.
Players, yeah. So it was just unbelievable, man. I don't even remember the game. I watched the game, and I get little things, but it was such a blur to me and such a crazy moment. I have to watch the game because I really don't remember much of it.
That's got to be what better time to be an NBA All-Star? The mid-'90s. It's like it's the peak of the league. Everybody's there. It's like, and you're one of those guys. That's like it's got to be insane, right? So now, before we get further into your NBA career, right? You're a Mattapan guy.
Definitely.
So I got a couple questions from back in the day, right? So the first thing I want to ask you is Jermaine Wiggins was on this podcast, right? And told us about me and you talked about this on the phone, the BNBL, which is the Boston Neighborhood Basketball League, right? Tell us what that was like, because he played in it, and then you obviously played it. I mean, no offense to Wiggy, I think you were a slightly better basketball player. Mm-hmm. So tell us about what the BNBL was like. This is what, the early 80s you must have been in, mid-80s?
Mid-80s, yeah.
Oh, dude, this must have been absolute chaos. Like, tell us about it.
Yeah, it was definitely BNBL. They called it Boston Neighborhood Basketball League, but I hate to say it, we used to call it Boston Neighborhood Bullet League because there was always issues at the parks.
I can't even imagine.
We had to move the games to day. We couldn't have the games at night, and it was just if you ever seen Rucker Park, it was like that. Somebody would come out with their truck and the music would be blasting. There'd be 150, 200 people surrounding the court, like right on the out of bounds line. And it was like showcase every single weekend. Best players came and played. Once you get to like the championship, weekends and stuff like that, that's when all the drama breaks out, man. It's like a real bad time, but it's also a great time to play basketball. But once the game is over, you better get into the car.
It's like, what are we doing now? Because this gets wild. Do you remember the big games you played in the BNBL? Like, how that all, like, who was the good neighborhoods and stuff like that, or like?
I played at Washington Park. I played at every single league. I just went from park to park. But I was like 15 playing 19 and under. So
oh, wow. I
was trying to get better playing older. In the first couple of years, I got beat up bad. Like, it was such a physical thing. People were I couldn't shoot at that time. So if you don't know, I didn't learn how to shoot until my sophomore year in high school.
That's crazy.
They used to call me baby. I just had handle.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't score like that. So playing up taught me to be a lot more physical, because those guys weren't nice. They weren't nice at all, especially if, you're giving them the business with everybody, and that wasn't
some
a good
20-year-old guy that just did 5 years that happens to be. By the way, like, that's how the BNBL was. It was like anybody could coach, right? So you would get a guy that was legit like gangbanging at the time that would come, somebody's uncle or their cousin, and would come coach.
I'll put it this way: the biggest names in the city had a team.
Team, right?
So you put it that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they paid people to play on their team to compete and be competitive.
That's like the Rucker Park thing when like Fat Joe had a team, Jay-Z had a team, or whoever. It was that intense. And now, if I'm not mistaken, you told me on the phone. Didn't they move the championship like 8 years ago, like indoors with no fans? Because it was just getting insane.
There was an issue at Washington Park, so they had to cancel the game, and they brought it to UMass Boston with no fans. And I think that was the last time they did it outdoors in terms of the playoffs. Yeah.
And now,
but it's a great listen. I know we're saying bad stuff.
Yeah,
but
it's
the
unbelievable.
Best bowling is like,
unbelievable. Must be unbelievable.
You couldn't avoid it if you wanted to play. Like you had to go and endure it. Like it wasn't something that you could go and play somewhere else. It was just a part of the fabric of the culture at the time. Maybe we're talking about the crack era. Like it's crazy bad times, man. Like,
it must have been crazy. Yeah, because my dad played in that street hockey league that they ran out of East Boston, and they used to play it down the airport, right at that ice rink in Eastie. And he was like, there'd be 2,000 people in like the rink on a Tuesday night in the middle of the summer because we'd be playing Orient Heights, and it was just bedlam.
Right.
The parking lot after, there'd be fights in the baseball field across the street. It was just something that's like part of growing up in the city, right? Like that's just part of the experience. It's part of what it is.
Definitely.
The second part of that is you ended up at Xaverian, right?
Yep.
Now, when I announced that I was having you on the show, I got a couple of Don Bosco guys in my DM being like, ask Dana about Don Bosco, who gave him the hardest time, this, that, and the other thing. Do you remember those games and what schools you guys... First off, how did you choose Xaverian? Did they come calling to you, I'm assuming?
I didn't choose Xaverian. My mother chose Xaverian. She told me, go take this test. I was like, whatever, Ma. I went and took the test.
Yeah.
I got into the school.
Yeah.
I knew the basketball coach. He's the one who talked to my mother to get me there. So the thing that I didn't know was it was an all-boys school. So I show up on the first day of walking through campus. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah, this is tough. You're like, I'm here for 4 years.
Yo, she was laughing. She was on the floor laughing because she thought it was a joke, but I couldn't believe it because there's no internet. I didn't look the school up. There's nothing there. So I just show up. I'm like, damn, this is all boys. This is crazy.
Yeah, and then they've always been, for some consolation here, they've always had great athletic programs. They're always good in basketball, always good in hockey, football school, they're always loaded. So was basketball, how was it for you guys when you were there?
I was actually a better football player than basketball. My Xaverian team was the first team that went to the Super Bowl back-to-back.
So that started everything then, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we was the first time.
What position were you?
Receiver and D-back. I was actually All-American D-back in football, not basketball. So I was All-American. I took a visit to Michigan and when I was in football my senior year. So Xaverian, I played football first. We weren't that good my freshman year, but my sophomore year a little better. And honestly, we weren't really good to my senior year. I mean, that's
really.
Yeah, we were solid, but once we get in the tournament, we would lose in the first game.
Is that when you took a turn as a player, as like a leader on the team, like as far as ability and everything?
No, something just clicked my junior year. Like my junior year, I averaged like 23 a game. My senior year, I averaged 40 a game. So it's just no 3-point line. So.
Oh, really?
No 3-point line at all. My 3-point line came in my sophomore year in college. So I didn't have a 3-point line even my freshman year.
Wow.
So something happened where I just figured out how to score what doesn't matter who's guarding me at that point. You know, I don't know how, I don't know why.
Right.
But it just was like I knew how to get it done, you know, and I figured it out.
So now, obviously, your career wraps at Xaverian. Where are you at as far as choosing a college, being recruited, where you're aspiring to play? Maybe you didn't get an offer from that team. How did you end up at BC? Like, how does this...
Crazy story. So I told you I'm All-American football. I take a visit to Michigan. I don't get a basketball scholarship from BC. They didn't offer me, right? Because I took 2 football visits to BC. And they knew that BC was going to give me a football scholarship, so they didn't have to give me a scholarship because I wanted to walk on the team after. So they tried to play me like that, right? So, but listen, my 2 visits to BC were with Doug Flutie.
I was going to say, was it, yeah.
He just won the Heisman, bro. I walk in Doug Flutie's room. He got a full-length poster of him on Sports Illustrated with the pass, right? I'm bugging out because I'm in his room the whole weekend. We going into the BC games and everything. So I'm going to go play football there.
Yeah.
And then walk on the basketball team because I was a better football player in high school. So a kid leaves the basketball team 2 days before signing day. So the basketball coach calls me and says, hey, Gary Williams says, hey, we have an extra scholarship for basketball. Do you want it? So I said, yeah. The football coach was pissed.
Yeah.
But I went and played basketball, and I told the football coach that I would walk on football next year. But I won Big East Freshman of the Year, and then I didn't go back. So that's how I got to BC. Doug Flutie took me around on 2 different visits, and that's my guy till today.
So to talk to the young kids that happen to be watching this episode right now, Flutie was that guy. Flutie was that guy.
Like Flutie was about 5'6", man, and we played basketball all weekend. He didn't. And then he went and played in the league, went to Buffalo, won championships in Canada.
Just a natural athlete. Anything he did, I heard he was just good at. Like, definitely. Quick. I mean, for a guy to go watch his NFL highlights. Didn't Lamar Jackson just tweet about him?
Yeah.
Just said, I'm watching Doug Flutie highlights. This is gas. Like, if he played in the NFL today,
right.
It's game over. He's a franchise quarterback.
Definitely.
And he still had some really good years in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He had some good years with San Diego. Like, he had about as good of a career as you could have for his, the way his career played out and everything. Definitely. I think they still play men's league baseball, him and his brother Darryl, right?
Yeah, he still plays in I threw out the first pitch at a single A baseball game in Brockton, the Brockton Rocks.
Wow.
And they say Dana Barros is throwing out the first pitch. I throw out the first pitch and Doug Flutie yelled out, "He sucks."
That's
so I looked
hilarious.
at the bench and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He was pitching, bro, for a single A team playing in Brockton.
Yup.
And this is like 3 years ago.
It's
before COVID.
It's crazy because he's got we've had this conversation before. I did a video series on the best athletes from different Massachusetts towns. I think it's safe to say Dana's got Mattapan on lock, right? Mm-hmm. Hands down, right? Millies seems to think our boy that Patrick Ewing is probably the best athlete ever to come out of Massachusetts. Would you agree with that?
He's from Jamaica, but he went to Cambridge Rens in high school, but he didn't grow up in Boston. So some people try not to use him. But there was also a guy before me at Severian named James Bailey. He went to Severian 4 years before I did and played in the league for 10 years, but nobody even knows about him.
This is basketball?
Yeah.
Oh, really? This is my first time hearing about this guy.
4 years before I got there, he graduated and played for the Knicks for 10 years, but no one ever knows.
So if let's say it wasn't him, this is just like Massachusetts local, like
he wasn't from Massachusetts, though.
Okay,
right? Yeah.
So let's say we don't put Pat in there just for the sake of this argument, right? Where do you put Pat Connaughton? He's in year 10 in the league, man.
Right.
Pat's had a great career.
All sports or just basketball?
I would just say athlete in general. It's got to just be a guy. If a guy has a 10-year career in the NBA,
right.
These guys. We've really put out a lot of phenomenal hockey players. Yeah. Tons of good hockey players, man.
A lot of football players who local went to BC. A lot of BC linemen now from Boston playing in linebackers.
BC used to be an offensive line factory. Remember that back?
We got 7 or 8 players. Michael Carter Williams. We got a bunch of Boston players. Yep. George Niang.
Shout out to the G-Wagon. He was on last season of this podcast. Yeah. He's an awesome kid. George is a good dude.
He worked out at my gym a couple of times.
George is a good dude, man. Absolutely. Definitely. Speaking of that, how is your coaching endeavor? You have an AAU program, right?
Yeah, I have a 5-court facility, Dana Barros Basketball Club.
Yep.
And we just finished spring. We have 48 teams this spring for AAU. So we do year-round basketball. But that's what I do now. Yeah.
How long have you guys been active?
I've been doing a Dana Barros basketball camp since 1988.
Oh, the camp has been around for years.
That gym's been there for 5 years, and before that, I had another 2-court facility for 4 years.
What about the actual team, like the AAU team? Do you guys have an actual AAU team? Are there is it Avon that you're out of?
We have 50 teams, yeah.
50 teams, yeah. So what's in the name is the
Dana Barros Basketball Club.
Dana Barros. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the name of the arena was that.
No,
I'm sorry, I got
confused. We have Dana Barros Elite.
Got you. Okay.
The girls have picked different names sometimes for their teams.
How did you want to approach AAU basketball differently than some? Because I have an opinion on it with baseball and hockey, where some of this stuff is clearly a money grab. Right. But I feel like the guys that played do it the right way. Guys that played in the league, had good careers in college or whatever that happened to be. I feel like you guys know how to conduct this program the best way and get kids ready for the next level. What was your philosophy coming into AAU basketball?
At some point I used to I always want to be competitive and try to have the best teams, but probably 10 years in, I just said, I don't want to deal with those. I don't want to say the kids, it's more the parents.
Parents, you could say it, Dan. It's fine.
I don't want to deal with the parents.
Of course, yeah.
So my goal and my directive in my program is to take the average, the beginner, the average, and the good kid and take them to the next level.
Yeah.
Because here's what happens in AAU. I have a great kid on my team. He's in 9th grade. He's with me since 3rd grade. Blah, blah, blah. And now this kid is unbelievable.
Yep.
I have other teams, coaches from other teams, talking to his parent while he's playing for me, saying, hey, if he comes on my team, We're gonna give him sneakers. We're gonna go to Vegas. And then the kid comes to me, and the parents come to me and says, hey, these guys are gonna give me this. What are you gonna give me? And I say, I'm not gonna give you anything.
Nothing.
I think you should go with them.
Yeah,
if that's
absolutely.
what you want, because I'm not paying a 7th or giving a 7th grade kid
that is
sneakers
so insane.
And all this craziness. I said,
Yeah.
this is crazy. You know,
Yeah.
but it's more the parents who, and I did it for my son. We always think they're better than they are at times, and we
Sure.
push it. And I'm telling you, man, we have police at the games on the weekends because parents fight in the stands constantly.
Do you think it's gotten worse, or was it always kind of like this with sports parents and social media just wasn't
Worse,
around?
totally worse.
Oh, for real?
When I was growing up, parents didn't come to the games. Like like my group, we didn't want our parents. Drop me off, I don't even want to see you.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Though, you know, my father would come in, because I couldn't tell him no, but
Sure, yeah.
yeah. But now it's just
He's like, I'm paying for everything. I'm coming to watch if I want to.
yeah, it's almost like the everybody gets a trophy thing.
Yeah.
So it's everyone comes, and then it's if your kid doesn't play as much as Johnny, then I get calls every weekend on, you know, how come he played more, and I'm saying it's a competitive thing. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of that going on. It's tough, you know. But I get it, because I've been a parent as well.
And that's got to be tough for you, like I said, to differentiate. And at some point, you as a parent got to be realistic about where your kid is at ability-wise. And then you're like, did I do anything to not help this kid get better? Is it something I missed out on, something I could have helped him out on? Like, parents do get very invested in their kids' careers. But I think it's interesting because I always looked at it as like, I'm like, has it always been this bad and there was just no cell phones with cameras on them and stuff back in the day? Or is it just actually gotten like substantially worse all around with like parent interference in youth sports in general?
Definitely worse. It's disgusting, man. It's
Now,
disgusting.
you got to this, we talked about your first 2 teams, Seattle. Philly was really like the apex of your career, right in those prime years. You end up with the Celtics, right? Now, you were there for Paul Pierce's first 3 years?
Yep, 4 years.
It 4 years, right? What did you see in Paul Pierce early on? Was he the same number draft pick as you? 16th?
No, he was
Was he
10th.
10th. I'm sorry. I knew he was in the teens somewhere, right? So
He was supposed to be top 3 or 4, but something happened.
oh, there we go. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
What did you see about Paul when he first got into the league? Were you like, you know, this kid's clearly got a lot of talent, but he definitely has to like fix some stuff. Like, how did you? You'll see why I'm asking you this, but continue, I want to hear your opinion on this.
It was weird because at that time we had a real veteran. We had Rick Fox, D. Brown. We had a lot of veterans on the team. So Paul came in with this. We used to call him bad body because he had like a weird body. He didn't have an athlete's body.
His posture was horrible. Yeah.
His game was like irky jerky, and it was like this ain't gonna work. And
Yeah.
then practice and scrimmages started, and we're like,
Never mind.
That unathletic body is working because he's athletic as hell, right?
Yeah.
And he always had it, but he always took a backseat to Antoine.
Yeah.
Because Antoine was the vocal guy and shot a lot of shots and scored the most points, and Antoine was a great player as well. But then it got to a point, probably 2-3 years in, where even Antoine was like, all right, I'm going to give you this, your ball. But I ain't giving you the ball because you're better than me. I'm just giving you the ball, you know.
Yeah, that's all
Antoine really was like,
Yeah.
you're 1A, I'm 1B, so let's not, you know what I mean? But it's your show.
Sure.
And I give Antoine a lot of credit for that because we saw the development of Paul just turn into an absolute beast on the court. And he really just took over. But he always had a clown thing with him, you know. He was always, you know, like coming to practice, just wanted to play one-on-ones after practice and didn't really work on his game. He was just naturally great. And when KG came, KG would call him at 6 in the morning like, yo, meet me at the gym in an hour. Paul's like, what you talking about? You know, and Paul told me how KG really turned. He's always been competitive, always a great practice worker, but he taught him how to be off the court. He got a cook, he got a hyperbaric chamber, and he changed his whole demeanor off the court with Ray Allen, and that's when he became the truth. You know what I mean?
It felt like Paul hit a point in his career where he was not getting by, you know what I mean, being successful on just natural ability alone. And then it felt like he hit this like point in his career where it was like, I'm taking this up to the next level. I think he might even drop like 15, 20 pounds. Because I remember he wasn't like this like lean, mean,
Right.
ripped up Nate Thurmond looking dude. You know what I mean? He was kind of like an average built guy.
Yeah.
And then it felt like KG gets here and it's like, okay, need more out of you. Like, you could be this much better. You know what I mean? Like, you're already this good and you do this much. You could be this good if we get you up another notch. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
I think
he changed the whole culture, though. It wasn't just the front office was different. The coaching staff, the practices were different. Like when we had practices, and I was like a director of player development on the team.
At that point in your career,
I have
right?
a ring from 08 as well.
Show the credit. Show it. Yeah.
I was on
there
the team
it is.
then.
That's it right there. Love it.
So KG, like none of the coaches wanted to ref the scrimmages because KG will go ape shit on them. Like,
really?
Yo, just like he does in the game.
Yeah.
So he made practice that serious to where the coach was like, I'm not reffing. You know, and they just changed the whole culture of the organization.
Yeah, because it felt like we had Paul, we had Twan, but it felt like that extra piece was kind of missing for a while. We had great role players around them, but I think Paul went from being a star to a superstar at that point.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Always was a star player, came into the league a star, right? What do you think Twan's legacy should be remembered as with his career with the Celtics? Because he played with the Wolves and the Heat after, right?
Right. I just think he got a bad rap because he put on this Chicago, tough guy.
Yes.
And he was a great after the games. Twan would cry a lot of times after the games.
Get out. Are you serious?
Like he was that sick. Like he would put on this big persona, but he would be so upset if we lost certain games or we had a chance to make the playoffs and then we were out of playoffs. He would be totally balling. And then on the road, if we were going to go out on the road, he would say, we're all going together or nobody's going. Like if you're going out, we're all going to the same. And he would make everybody go in the same limo. He would pay for everything when he went out. And he said, yo, we're the Celtics. Let's not act crazy. You never seen him getting in fights at clubs. He was totally different than the persona that he put on.
100%, because I had a totally different perception of him as a younger player watching. I never knew that about Twan.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of other people did either, that he was that. I think a lot of people thought he was this, bravado guy that had a lot of natural ability, and it was whatever. He might have had, a good 2-3 year prime in the league and kind of coasted from there or whatever. No, I'm not saying he did that, but I don't think anybody realized, especially like I said, there's no social media back then, so you can't get some reporter being like, I just saw Twan really emotional after this loss. That kind of stuff nowadays, for all the negative social media brings out in people, I feel like that could have helped him and his image as far as how he was received by the fan base. You know what I mean? Because
But we're like a working town. Like we know real basketball.
Yeah.
Like Larry Bird and Tom Brady. These aren't flashy guys. These are guys that put that work in. You know what I'm saying? And got over the hump and overachieved to a point. So I just think the flashiness didn't fit in the culture of Boston, and that's where he got the bad rep. You know?
I definitely can agree with that. I think that he definitely wasn't your typical Boston athlete archetype,
right.
Or at least not one that typically gets open arms well received here. I think, like you said, the guys like Tom Brady, the guys like Bird, even a guy like Jason Tatum right now, that's a little bit quieter of a guy, handles his stuff, right? Exactly. Those types of guys are more well received here. So I think Twan might have just been a victim of wrong place, wrong time, from what it sounds like. Because it sounds like he should have definitely. He almost feels like the Celtics version of Drew Bledsoe. Does that make any sense?
Definitely. Drew Bledsoe was unbelievable.
Well, what's your opinion on Drew Bledsoe? Because I've asked this to Scott Zolak, I asked this to Jermaine Wiggins, Jerry Thornton. Give me a take on Bledsoe.
Bro, I had a Bledsoe jersey. The first Patriots jersey I had was my father gave me a Sam Bam Cunningham old school jersey.
Wow.
Right? My father gave me that, and then I started becoming a Patriots. Yeah, old Patriots logo, right? So I started becoming a fan, and then as Bledsoe, I had a Bledsoe jersey. He had that patent, he had the cannon, right? And when Billy took him out and put Brady in, I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? I was like everybody else at first. But you got to give him a lot of credit. He stuck with him, but Bledsoe, if I'm him, I'm like, I just signed a $100 million deal.
Yeah.
And then I'm out the door the next year, That was crazy.
And it's crazy because I think people, again, even me, this is me, the first football game I ever remember watching, I was literally 4 years old, watching the Green Bay. I had no idea what was going on, but it's the first football I ever remember watching on TV. This is 96. I was 4 years old when we lost to Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I think it was kind of my dad didn't love Bledsoe because, shocker, a kid takes a lot of his sports takes from his old man when he's bitching about it in the car ride home or whatever that, right? Whatever. I don't think he thought Bledsoe had like the heart. Like Drew had that like drive, that really like warrior spirit. And like I said, that's what I think Drew is kind of a victim of not being the atypical Boston athlete. Much like, I mean, different personality than Twan, don't get me wrong. But do you see where I'm trying to like make that comparison right there? So, and again, if Dan Marino wasn't in the league, that's the best arm in the league.
Yeah.
That's the best arm in the league. People don't realize, like, you go watch Patrick Mahomes throw the ball, Aaron Rodgers, dude, Bledsoe was better than that as far as arm strength goes. That dude had a missile.
And he made throws that most people can't make. And he took a lot of chances, almost like a Brett Favre, where he's one of the only people that can make that throw.
Yep.
So you say, why would he? But then he makes the throw.
And
the
you're
next
like, all
time
right,
it
I'll
might
shut
be an
up.
interception, but yeah, he's the gunslinger. You know,
So
that's what I loved about
Max
him.
Lane, who we also had on this show, remember our left tackle?
I know Max. I play in
Ma-
his golf tournaments. Yeah.
Awesome guy. He said on this show, he was like, people don't realize how tough Drew was. He would get hit, and like he wouldn't care if you hit him, as long as if like the guy wasn't open, and he took a hit or whatever, he didn't care. He cared when a guy was open. And even if a dude reached up and just bumped his arm, he'd be like, dude, hold your block, man. Come on, man. I had the guy down the field. Dude was open down the seam. Stuff like that. But he was like, dude, Drew played with like pins in his finger, like a fractured wrist. This guy was out there trying to win
He's a gangster, man.
Yeah, and I think the last thing about Drew is I think a lot of people forget how bad the early 90s Patriots were.
1-15.
Like before he got there,
1-15 before Parcells came.
You think the Carolina Panthers today are bad, or whatever the bum team there is, but Jacksonville, whoever, dude, the Pats were that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that. You know what I mean? And then Drew comes along and kind of saves the day and gets. I mean, what year did we draft him? 93. We were in the Super Bowl by 96. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think. So, I mean, like I said, I think Drew also gets kind of a bum rap. Like later in life now, you know what I mean?
Definitely. No one's gonna when Brady comes in after you, no one's gonna remember you. No, it's like Allen Iverson came in after me. It was like, who?
Yeah. They were like, who's the guy that had 3
exactly.
Yeah,
it was like
Did
that.
you? So how? By the way, how? Just a quick. Can you give a take on AI? Did you had some years with him and stuff like that? And
played against some unbelievable player, just maybe an inch or two taller than me. And you talk about warrior, like, you know, he go in there and throw his body around at 140, 50 pounds, you know. So I give him a lot of credit because I know how difficult it is to play against that size every night. And
I feel like I think people NBA players today get criticized. That'll lead into the last point of the show. Get criticized for, I don't like the super team era. Don't love it. Man, I don't like that at all. I just don't. The thing, though, is you look at a guy like AI, and it's like this guy was 6 foot, you just said 150 pounds, carrying this team every single night in, night out. Like, this guy, he brought them about as far as one person can bring a basketball team, in my opinion, as far as that roster that he had. Not that he had bad players, like Aaron McKee's like a good role player.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Dikembe Mutombo.
Dikembe, right? No, he did have Dikembe for a while.
But he was defensive. He wasn't giving you much on the offense, but he was defensive player of the year. But everything on offense was, they had the best pickers.
Yeah.
You know, they had the best defensive player, had the point guard who can get you the ball anywhere.
Yep.
And then Larry Brown played to the strength of his best player, man. And they took it to levels where I didn't think they could go. Definitely didn't think they could go.
Who was the best coach you ever played for?
George Karl.
Oh, yeah.
And Rick Pitino. Like, as crazy as Rick Pitino was, like, he was the best coach I ever had. Him and George Karl. I'll give you, we played John Stockton every year in the playoffs, right, in Seattle. So every game, we played them, and we went 7 games. So this is what George Karl would do. Game 1, we're going to play a 1-3-1 half-court trap. Game 2, we're going to box in 1 Stockton and face guard him. Game 3, we're going to play full court trap. Game 4, we're gonna do something. Every single game,
different look every game.
And Stockton we would beat them all the time. Well, not all the time, but most of the time. And he just had a great mind for basketball. He could make adjustments on the fly. And I'll tell you, a lot of coaches who you think are great coaches, bro, it's like, I need to take the clipboard, or someone else takes the clipboard and go, this is what we're going to do. Because the coach is like, like, you wouldn't believe.
What do you think as far, do you think that, this is going to sound condescending, and it's not meant to be at all. Do you think that, this is going to sound stupid, how important is coaching in the NBA based on the point you just made? Where, like, some of these guys are like, Dana, run the pick, and then you guys that know the game sometimes, I feel like, can just step in and be like, all right, somebody just sent me a seat screen in the corner, get it to this guy, or Twan's open on the, up top, like,
it's
whatever.
Not a lot of that. It's more, 85-90% of it is monitoring personalities.
In the NBA.
In the NBA. And because there's so much money involved, more than half the team makes more than the coach, right? So it's monitoring that. But then what you would see with Brad Stevens was out of a timeout, unbelievable plays every time there was an out-of-bounds play. That's where a coach comes in. 9 seconds left. I call a timeout. I make my substitutions before they're making a thing. I call the play. It's just like Brady has 3 plays in the huddle. You're in a no huddle. You don't got to go back to the huddle. That's what. Right. And he's a coach on the field. That's why I'm saying that.
Sure.
So the coaches at maximum times in games can make maximum
contributions
input into the game. But most of the time, it's get this guy in the game or get this guy out the game. Oh, he didn't play the first half, so let me make sure he ain't upset in the second half. It's a lot of that going on. You know what I mean? A lot of it. And today's game is different to where the players control the league. You see where Jimmy Butler, Pat Riley said, I'm not trading you. I'm the GM. What happened? Jimmy Butler acted a fool, got out of there, right? The players make so much money that you cannot have him sit there and eat that $50, $60 million while he acts up.
Right.
And that's the difference with today where we had no control. It was just like, you don't like it? Okay, well, sit on the bench and we'll sit you here for 3 years, Do
you think there's a difference between David Stern's NBA that you played in and Adam Silver's NBA?
Oh, David Stern, we used to call him El Capo, the command. It was like in the military.
Yeah.
David Stern, after the brawl in Detroit.
The Malice at the Palace.
Right, so we had new rules, and we had to wear suit and tie. We flew commercial, so we had to wear suit and tie on every plane now.
Yeah.
If your socks weren't above your calf, you got fined $500. You know how Allen Iverson and everybody wore the big shorts? If your shorts went below your knees, you got fined $500. If your shirt wasn't tucked in, you get one warning, you get $500. This is what it was.
I never knew about any of this. I didn't even know this was a thing.
This all happened after the Malice in Palace. And he was a disciplinarian. Like if he didn't like something, he didn't like AI to a certain extent, and he didn't make AI the face of the league. The culture and the people and the fans
just
made
loved AI. He might be the biggest fan favorite ever.
Right. He wasn't on the cover of all these NBA stuff because he was getting in trouble a little bit. So he was that type of guy where we called him El Capo. That's exactly, it was like being in the military. Silver, the players are running the whole house. It's just
the inmates. I guess running the
asylum.
Right.
It's I just feel like his power's been cut out until the owners get tired of paying $300 million contracts.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna come down and force him to do something. And I don't know when that's gonna be, but
now the other part of the last part of this is, I guess what's the best way to word this? It would be, when you look back at your whole career, do you think at this point, like, you made the right decision every step of the way? Clearly everything worked out, every team if you got traded, you signed somewhere in free.
No.
Oh, really?
No. I mean, I made so many bad decisions in terms of attitude. Those 3 years in Seattle, I think Seattle was surprised by the person that I was by the second and third year.
Really?
Because I'm a great guy, but you're talking about my life here, right? I had a 5-year deal. I'm in the fourth, going on my 5th year, and I'm not playing. You're going to have to play me, or you have to get me out of here, one or the other. That's what I told him every day. Yeah. And at the end of the season, I wouldn't meet with him. We would lose at 10 o'clock. I would book a 12:30 red-eye home. I wouldn't talk to no one. I would just leave the locker room.
Really?
That's how, I was Jimmy Butler.
I mean, it's different, though. You're a young guy, and the thing is like, I'm not that I know you're...
And before I go on, people think you played all this money in the NBA. My first year, I'll tell you my first 5-year deal. 175, 250, 300, 350. I made the All-Star team at 400,000. So people always think that you're making all this money.
Shit.
And we live in Massachusetts, so when it wasn't nothing like you think it was.
Yeah.
So when you're only on the cliff like this every year, not knowing.
That's stressful,
man.
man.
You gotta fight for everything. That's why it was so much more difficult back then.
Nah, that's yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't think about that when they talk. We talked about with Jeremy Swayman with his contract negotiation. He's like, dude, I gotta go for it right now. Right. I have to. One, I'm setting the market for the next goalie, next guy to get paid behind me. Right. It's like, I'm here in a place I really like, but at the same time, dude, this is business. It's all business. It is now more than ever. So it's just a matter of, I feel like, so you would say what the Seattle Seahawks years were. I'm sorry, Sonics, my bad. Sorry. Seattle Supersonics years, those younger years in your career, you were, I was like, I maybe would have changed my attitude a little bit, or, how'd it go?
Yeah, I mean, once I got out of that situation, I'm 100% professional in terms of when I'm, all I want is opportunity. I don't expect you to give me anything.
You wanted to play.
Just give me a fair opportunity, and I knew that wasn't going to happen there. So, and that I just feel like that situation called for that. I don't live my life like that, but I definitely will do what I have to do to protect my legacy, my future, my past, or whatever it is, especially my family and my kids, so definitely.
And the last question of this podcast, what is your opinion on the current state of Boston College men's basketball?
It's tough, man. Look, I go to
say
a lot
whatever
of the games.
Say whatever you want.
I sit behind the bench. I love Earl Grant. I think he's doing an all right job of what he's given, but it's just not. I don't know if it's the money thing, because last year all 5 starters left. It's just tough to get players in there, man. And at my gym, I have Adidas top 100, Gatorade top 100. All these players have these tournaments at my gym, and I try to talk to them about it, and it's just like there's a disconnect.
Clearly.
There, and we have to figure out. We need to get one person.
Yeah.
Like the number 1 player in the country, AJ DeBanza. He played at my gym. He works out at my gym all summer. Mm-hmm. And I would talk to him about it, and he would laugh at me, man. He would laugh at me. And I would say, this is bad. So I'm trying to get one guy from Boston to set the trend again. Yeah. If we can get one guy to go out there and handle his business and put us, I don't even see highlights. We don't even have guys that we can throw lobs and dunks to. You know what I mean?
It's really insane.
We don't even have athletes to where we just get highlights at least,
And I was, like I said, when I was in middle and high school, younger, BC, that was the Craig Smith years, the Tyrese Rice years.
Final 8. Yeah.
Reggie Jackson. Yeah, they
Howard
made
Isley,
Yeah, they made some great runs. They had some Rashawn Williams. They had some great players, guys that went to the league, and it just feels like, I don't know if the school deprioritized it, and it's just Hockey City now, which is fine, whatever, but it just feels like BC basketball used to have so much more, the years, the Heron years, so much more.
The money's big now, though, man.
Yeah.
AJ's, he's gonna make over. I'm just gonna say he's gonna make over $6 million in his 1 year at BYU.
Is that not insane to a guy like you that had a whole career before he made literally 5 years in the league before he made $1 million, even maybe?
He's in high school. He's making over $3 million right now.
That's just the most insane thing.
Nike, mostly Nike, yeah.
What do you think? Should people know about AJ as far as a player and his projection goes?
Great kid. I mean, I've watched him. He started working out 2 years ago. He was about 6'4". He's about 6'10" now. Yeah. 6'10" point guard. So to me, it's like a remake of Tracy McGrady. Yeah. Penny Hardaway. Can do it all on the floor, and he's got a great foundation. I know his dad. Yeah. His dad comes to all the workouts, and his dad don't play. His dad is serious and keeps him in line and keeps him right. So
that's awesome.
I think he's got the great foundation behind him. So I think he'll be straight. And he's gonna be the first pick when he comes out next year.
Oh, you think so? Yeah,
he's only playing 1 year, definitely.
Right. BYU, right?
Right.
Well, man, Dane, I'm glad you came out here. This was a lot of fun, man. Thank you for coming on the show. This was a blast. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Appreciate it.
It's good to have you up on the North Shore, man. And, we got
to come back and do the playoff edition, all right? We'll come back and do the playoff edition. Oh, yeah,
absolutely, man. 100%, man. I would love that. And thank you to One Main Restaurant in Peabody, Massachusetts for hosting us tonight. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a good time. And that is episode 1 of season 3 of the ShutUpMarc Podcast with Dana Barros.
Holla.
Peace out.